Hello. Okay, so it is October the 25th, and we have to finish and find out what happened to Jake Drake, the bully buster. Okay, so I'm going to set my timer, and we're on chapter 4. It's called Bullyitis. It says, Link didn't even talk to me when I got off the bus. He just walked away. I watched him. He crossed Greenwood Street and started to walk down Park Street. And then I remembered, of course, Link had moved into the Carsons' old house. The house had been for sale, and now it was Link's house, right on Park Street, right around the corner from me. When I walked into my house, I didn't even say hi to my mom. I dropped my book bag on the floor, then I went right to the playroom. My little sister Abby was watching a puppet show on TV. It was her favorite show. I said, "Give me that." And I grabbed the remote from her. She frowned at me and stuck her tongue out. Then I changed the channel to Batman. Abby said, "Hey, I'm watching my Muppets." I said, "Oh, yeah." And I went over to her. She was sitting on a big pillow on the floor. I felt a little taller than Abby. I said, "Well, I'm watching Batman, and you can't stop me." Then I kicked her pillow. Abby yelled, "Ow! Ow! That hurt. Mom, Jake stole the remote and he just kicked me hard." Mom came in. She was walking her fast walk. That's her "you're in big trouble" walk. She stopped and stood over me. She said, "Jake Drake, you know better than to come in here and make a fuss. You come right back to the kitchen, pick up your book bag, and give that remote back to your sister." I tossed the remote to Abby. By mistake, it hit her on her knee. Ow! Now she really yelled, and she tried to cry. She tried to cry a little too. So I, so real quick, I said sorry, but I was too late. Mom took me by my arm and marched me to the kitchen. She put me on a chair. Then she said, "Jake, we do not treat others like that in this family, and you know it. What's gotten into you?" Have any of you ever heard that? What's gotten into you? And then it hit me. It was Link. Link had gotten into me. I was being like Link. I had caught the bullyitis, but I couldn't tell my mom about Link because my mom might call Link's mom. Then Link would tell every kid on the bus how fake Drake went and cried to his mommy. And every day on the bus for the rest of my life, I would hear about how I was, I, and every day on the bus for the rest of my life, I would hear about how I'm such a big baby. So I said, "Sorry, Mom." Then I gave her a big sigh. "I guess I'm just tired and hungry." Moms love to hear that. Tired and hungry? That's stuff that moms know how to fix. Mom patted me on the head. Then she fixed me a peanut butter sandwich and a glass of milk. And she said, "I'll make sure you get to bed early tonight, sweetheart. But when that sandwich is gone, you have to go and apologize to Abby." So I ate slowly, but then I put my dish and my glass in the sink and went to look for Abby. And I thought it was going to be like and I thought it was going to be like all the other times I had told Abby I was sorry, but it wasn't. Chapter 5, What Abby Said. Abby was only in kindergarten back then. Back when I was in second grade, even so, Abby wasn't stupid like a lot of little kids are. I'd never tell her this, but Abby's okay to talk to sometimes. You know, for a sister. I mean, since I don't have a dog or anything, Abby's kind of like a pet who can talk. Sort of like a parrot, I guess. Anyway, I told Abby I was sorry. It's okay, she said. See? See what I mean? Abby's kind of like a pet. You know how if you yell at a dog, it gets all scared of you or maybe mad, but then you pat it on the head and it starts wagging its tail again? That's the way Abby is. He was still watching the Muppets. They were painting some clouds on the wall. Really dumb. Then I told Abby about Link, and Abby said, his sister came to school today, Linda Baxter. She's in kindergarten with me. She's a bully too. I said, really? Yes, said Abby. Linda took Sarah's crayons. I saw. Abby started moving her arms like the Muppets. I said, so she took Sarah's crayons? Abby nodded, only half listening. Yes, the best colors. Linda said, if you tell, I'll break all of them. At snack time, Sarah gave Linda a Ritz cracker. Then Linda let Sarah use the yellow crayon. So there it was, the case of the kidnapped crayons. And I said to myself, Linda Baxter is only in kindergarten. Link's baby sister is already a super bully. And then I thought, imagine her big brother. Imagine what her big brother is going to do to me. Not a good thought. Abby kept watching the Muppets. The show was almost over. The Muppets were starting to sing. It was the part of the show that almost makes me throw up. Then I remembered something. I remembered going to visit Grandma and Grandpa in Florida. It was just me and Abby, and I was mad because I always had to do everything with Abby. She was just 4. She was still in nursery school, and I was already a big first grader. I hated hanging around with such a big baby. I I mean, I was mean to Abby the whole time. So I said, remember how I was mean to you when we went to Florida? Abby was nodding to the music, but she said, I remember. And I said, how come you didn't get mad at me? Abby shrugged. If I get mad, I feel mean. I don't like to feel mean, so I don't get mad. Then Abby started to sing along with the Muppets. I did not want to throw up, so I went to my room. I flopped onto my bed so I could think about my problems. Part of me wished I could get a ride to school with Dad every morning. Then I wouldn't have to ride the bus with the Link. And maybe I can go to the library for recess. And then Mom could pick me up after school. Part of me wished I could grow 10 inches in one night. Then tomorrow morning, I can get up on the bus. I would sit next to Link. I would push his face against the window. I would paint his nose with a red magic marker. I would call him Think Baxter. But I kept thinking, and Abby was right. It's not fun to feel mean. Link acted like it was fun, but it wasn't. Really? Was it? No, it couldn't be. As I went to sleep that night, here's what I said to myself. Tomorrow, I will not get mad. I will not get mad at Link, no matter what. Then, then he will see that it's not fun to be mean. It worked for Abby and me, but would it work for a super bully? Chapter 6, Playing It Cool. In the morning, Link made sure that he sat next to me on the bus. First thing, he wiped mud from his shoes onto my book bag, but I just smiled and brushed it off. Very cool. He called me Jake Flake. I laughed and said, yeah, that's a good one. Or how about Snake Drake or Cheesecake Drake? Or maybe Shaky Jake? Yeah, Shaky Jake. Everybody on the bus laughed, but it was me making them laugh, not Link. I was playing it cool. Link didn't like it. His beady little eyes got meaner and meaner. And when we got to school, he pushed his way up to the front so he can get off the bus first. He even pushed some of the fifth graders. In class, it got worse. Link stuck some gum onto my math workbook. I just smiled and put a piece of paper over the sticky part. I kept working, cool as can be. During art class, Link poured some gold glitter into the paint I was using. I said, "Nice idea," and I kept painting. Later, the art teacher said, "Jake, I love what you've done there. Very creative and very cool." I was worried about recess. The playground is big. Anything can happen out there. Sure enough, Link cut in line, got behind me on the sliding board. I slid down, and he came down behind me really fast. He tried to bump me into a puddle, but I stepped aside real fast, and his foot went into some mud. It was a good thing Mrs. Battle was standing so close. Otherwise, Link might have tried to make me lick that mud off his shoe or something. It's page 34. 35 is like this. My alarm is going off. I think I'm going to stop right there. Oh, what's going to happen next? Well, you're going to have to look at the other read aloud to find out. I hope you enjoyed it. Okay, so here goes page 35. Chapter 6. After lunch, I was in the boys' room washing my hands. I looked in the mirror, and there was Link, smiling. I tried to smile back, but it was too hard. I was scared. Link kept smiling. He started to wash his hands at the sink next to me. And when I got a paper towel, he cupped his hands and threw a ton of water right at me, right down the front of my tan hands. A big brown wet spot. Then, in his baby voice, Link said, "Look, look, little Jakey had an accident." A bunch of fourth graders started pointing and laughing. I tried to laugh too. I tried to be cool, but I couldn't. I couldn't laugh. Not about that. I got angry. I felt like flames were going to shoot out of my eyes. And Link saw. He saw me get mad. Then he saw me get even madder about him seeing me get mad. And Link's beady little eyes and his smirky little mouth laughed at me. I stayed in the boys' room as long as I could. I rubbed my pants with paper towels. I fanned my pants with my hands. But when I went back into class, there was still a little dark spot. And Link had been whispering. Everybody looked at me when I came in the door. My face turned bright pink. And when I sat down across from Link, he held his nose and made a face. I couldn't help it. I was so mad. And it made me feel mean. And I lost it. I turned toward Link and punched him on the shoulder with all my might. Might is something I don't have a lot of. So I know I didn't really hurt him. Excuse me. But Link was a lot better at acting than Abby. He grabbed his shoulder and knocked a book off my desk. "Ah!" he shouted. "Oh! My arm! My arm!" Mrs. Battle, Mrs. Brattle was there in 1 second flat. "Jake, I am ashamed of you." Link looked and it looked. Link let his arm flop down like it was broken and whimpered, "Ah, my arm, it hurts." Mrs. Brattle said, "Ted, please help Link down to the nurse's office. And Jake, you come with me." As Link left the room, he peeked a look back at me and he smiled. Link Baxter was off to get some ice and some friendly words from the nurse. And me, I was off to talk to the principal. Probably not a happy little chat, and my pants still had a big stain down the front. Mrs. Brattle walked me down the hall. On the way, I figured something out. Link was a bigger problem than Abby had ever faced. This was war, and I was losing big time. Not cool at all. Chapter 7. Learning my lesson. When people are mad at you, They do a lot of pointing. In the office, Mrs. Brattle pointed to a chair. She said, "Wait here." No smiles. Then she went to the principal's office. A minute later, she came out. So did Mrs. Cart. Mrs. Cart pointed to her office and said, "In there, Jake." I had never been to the principal's office before. There was a big gray desk. There was a row of big gray bookcases, and there was a big gray principal. Mrs. Carp had gray shoes, a gray dress, and gray hair, and she was taller than Mrs. Brattle, even taller than my dad. She pointed to a gray chair in front of her desk. "Sit there, Jake." So I sat down. Then she said, "You know, it's against the rules to hit someone, don't you?" It wasn't a question. And I said, "Yes, I know." "Then why did you hit Link Baxter?" This was the tricky part. If I told about Link being a bully, then I would be a tattletale. But if I didn't say anything, then she would think I was some crazy hitter. So I pointed at the spot on my pants and said, "Some water got on my pants in the boys' room." And I thought Link was making fun of me. So simple, so true, so easy for Mrs. Carp to understand. And she did. Just like that, she got a friendly look on her face and said, "I understand about feeling embarrassed, Jake, but do you see that hitting is wrong, no matter what?" And I said, "Yes," because it was true. I really was sorry I had hit Link. I did not want to have a fight with Link, ever, for two reasons. First, because it's not good to hit and kick and scratch and pull hair and roll around on the ground. And second, because I knew that would happen to me if I ever did get in a fight with Link. I would turn into one huge purple bruise. So Mrs. Carp sent me back to my classroom. She didn't even call my mom. As she opened the door to our office for me, she said, "I'm sure you've learned your lesson. Haven't you, Jake?" And I said, "Yes, Mrs. Carp. Only I didn't know if we were talking about the same lesson." As I walked from the school office toward Mrs. Brattle's room, Link came out of the nurse's office. I think he had been waiting for me. He walked beside me in the empty hallway. Link seemed bigger than ever. He gave me this bully smile and said, "Nice move, Flake. Have a good time with the principal?" This was the first time I had been alone with Link. I was scared, but I said, "It wasn't so bad." We kept walking. Being alone with Link was different, and I thought that maybe a bully stops being a bully if there aren't some other kids around to watch. I thought that maybe he's only a super bully when he was an audience. For a second, it felt like Link Baxter was just this big kid, and I was walking down the hall with him. Back then, I didn't know as much about bullies as I do now. So I said, "How come you pick on me?" Wrong question. The super bully was back. Link looked at me like I was a bug. He said, "Dumb question." And I thought maybe he was going to push me into a locker or something, but he didn't. And we just kept walking. But it was like my question confused him. And just before we got back to the room 23, and just before we got back to room 23, I knew. I knew why he didn't answer the question. He didn't because he couldn't. He couldn't tell me why because he didn't really know. But there had to be a reason why Link was a bully. And if I could figure out that reason, or if I could give him a reason not to be a bully, then maybe Link Baxter, super bully, will become Link Baxter, ex super bully. Chapter 8, Dangerous Duo. The next week was not fun. Every chance he got, Link did something mean, like step on my red pen and break it, or something embarrassing like push me into a bunch of fourth grade girls into the cafeteria, or something annoying like hide my book bag under the seats at the back of the bus. I was starting to think that Link was a bully because Link was a bully. And I was starting to think there was nothing I could do about it except live with it every day for the rest of my life. Just then, I was sure things could not get any worse. They did. Thanks to Mrs. Brattle. Thanksgiving was coming, and we all had to do a social studies project about it. Mrs. Brattle planned all the topics, and Mrs. Brattle wanted everyone to work in pairs, and Mrs. Brattle chose the pairs. And one pair was Jake Drake and Link Baxter. We had to do a report to show how the Native Americans had lived. Link loved it. He thought it was so funny, a big joke. He said, "Hey, Flake, this is great. It's you and me. We get to make a TP together. Tell you what, I'll do the T part and you can take care of the P. Get it? The P." Of course, I wanted to tell Link how dumb he was because the Native Americans at the first Thanksgiving never saw a teepee. They lived in weetus, round wigwams made of poles and bark. And they made long houses too. But you don't say things like that to a super bully. I went to Mrs. Brattle when everyone else went to lunch. I said, "Mrs. Brattle, I don't think I should work with Link on the Thanksgiving project." She said, "Oh, why is that?" "Well," I said, "I just think I'd do better with someone else." Mrs. Brattle said, "I'm sorry, but everyone else is already paired up, Jake. I'm sure you and Link will do just fine." On the bus home that day, Link said, "That Thanksgiving thing, you're going to do the report, Flake. I don't do dumb stuff like that." I said, "What do you mean? We're partners." Link said, "Yeah, right. And you're the partner who has to do the project." The next day, we had library period. I watched Link. He went right to the reference section. He got the encyclopedia. Good, I thought. He's going to look up some things about Native Americans. Link carried the encyclopedia to a table at the back of the library. My partner was working. Looking good to me. I went to find some other stuff about Native Americans in Massachusetts. Near the end of the period, I went to show Link the books I found. He looked up and said, "Great job, Blake." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Take a look." Behind the encyclopedia, Link was reading a book of the Garfield cartoons. He said, "I love social studies, don't you?" So there it was. My partner wasn't just a super bully, he was also a moron. That's right there. I still have this to read. And that's page 48. The timer's going off. I went over my minutes. I'm going to have to stop now. It's getting good, isn't it? Bye.